I take my cup that has all my emotional capacity. It means in many cases, I pour that out for all these other people and all these other things. What happens when I come back to me? There's nothing left, right? Because I'm so used to being selfless. I'm so used to not prioritizing myself ever. So by the time I come back to me, there's pretty much nothing left there. What happens to that kind of person over time?
To bring it back to you, RJ, though, what has self love looked like for you in the past, and what does it look like for you now? Because I know for me, it has definitely evolved.
No doubt, no doubt, man. You're absolutely right. I think for many of us, particularly for men, I think the concept is largely absent. You know, I think for many of us, we grow up in a mentality where the expectation is you're just supposed to make sure you can provide, you can be independent, you can take care of yourself in that sort of traditional sense. But beyond that, I don't think that we really go much deeper. And the caveat, or I think the consequence of that is that we naturally don't learn to take good care of ourselves. We don't prioritize ourselves. And there's a great chance and a great risk that we just run ourselves into the ground, right? Like we kind of lead this unsustainable life. Just go, 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 put your head down, and hopefully, you know, things will work themselves out somehow in the future. And I definitely grew up the same way. And self-care really was largely absent, and it was never really encouraged or promoted to me. It was a concept I really didn't start learning until, honestly, I got into grad school. Until, like, you know, people, like professionals started telling you, like, hey, you want to help other people go through this process. You need to make sure you're taking good care of yourself. I'm like, oh, what is that? What does that mean? So self-care.
Yeah.
I like to start with just describing the foundation of what I believe it means. And it's interesting. I was having a conversation with a brother this morning, and I was saying that I think when we think of like a hierarchy of what's most important, right? Hopefully to each of us. To me, we're always number one. And that means that it's not that I don't care about other people. It's not that I don't care about like my romantic partner, my child, you know, whoever. It's just that I have to make sure I'm okay first, always, in order to care enough and be able to have emotional capacity for other people and other things. So to me, if there's like anything you learn from this concept that we're talking about, is learn and understand that being selfish in terms of taking care of myself first and making sure I'm good is something I hope that we all learn like throughout our lives. Because if we don't do that, then we run the risk of it negatively impacting all these other people that we might deal with, whether it be our significant other, whether it be a child that we're dealing with or that we have. It's very difficult to manage and maintain those relationships because I'm so used to just go, 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 and I don't make sure that anybody's looking out for me. So I always like to start there. But beyond that, it's just making sure that I'm sort of carving out time for myself each day, or even if it's every other day. Maybe you have a very busy life, but just putting in the effort, you know, to make sure that like I'm giving myself some level of fulfillment as an individual, not as a boyfriend or a husband, not as a father or a mother, as a person. What did I do for myself today that helped me feel some type of fulfillment or joy? And I leverage that to help me with all the other stress and challenge I got to deal with every day.
That's wonderful. That's so beautifully said. Like, honestly, it's so important for us to understand that if especially for empaths, if you want to help other people, like being selfish is actually selfless. Like it allows you to really impact and like be your best self for the people that you care about, whether it's your work or whether it's like your children, whether it's your friends or partners. Yeah. It's really a way to give your best self and like really just refill your tank, and understanding that each and every single one of us needs to refill ourselves and before we can actually like try to give. And I think the way you said it is crucial, because again, like the idea of being selfish in society nowadays has been viewed as something that's negative or something that's bad. But if you watch the last live, I remember you brought up like the difference between being selfish and like being egoistic or egotistical.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. Or realizing that, like, you know, being selfish when you're actually filling your cup and like really taking care of yourself first and doing the things that like help you fulfill your own needs as a human. It's very different. It's for other people at the end of the day. Like, yes, like it helps you first, but at the end of the day, like really helps you and your community. As you step out, you can actually be the best version of yourself. As being like, egotistical, you just don't care. You're just doing your entire day for yourself.
No, absolutely. Like, think about what you're saying. It's like, for those that might not have caught that on the last one, because I was telling my guy this earlier, man. So imagine, for those that haven't done this exercise before, imagine there's like several teacups around you. You have one for each of the people that you care about. You have one for yourself. And then let's say you have this other one in the middle that represents your like emotional capacity. That's like things that you care about, people that you care about, you know, things like that. If my strategy, if I'm selfless, right? If I identify myself as being selfless, care about a lot of people, a lot of things, I take my cup that has all my emotional capacity. It means in many cases, I pour that out for all these other people and all these other things. What happens when I come back to me? There's nothing left, right? Because I'm so used to being selfless, I'm so used to not prioritizing myself ever. So by the time I come back to me, there's pretty much nothing left there. What happens to that kind of person over time? I'm probably not taking good care of myself. I'm not eating well. I'm not sleeping well. I don't do any good physical activity. Some of my dreams or my goals, maybe I don't push as hard as I could be because I'm drained, because I give to everybody else before me. All I'm saying when I talk about being selfish in the context of what we're describing in self-love is to say, let me take that same emotional capacity, let me first pour into my cup. Then I will go through and try to give as much as I can to other people, because that is sustainable. I can do that for a lifetime. I can care about myself and then say, you know what? I want to put some in Carlos because that brother's having a hard time. Or I want to celebrate him because he's doing good work. And I want to give to me, or I want to give to some other creator or some other professional in the field or a loved one, right? That is a sustainable model. But a lot of times we have that confused. If you're very selfless and you care so much about other people, you're like, no. I got to give to everyone. I want the world to have this first. But then who's going to make sure that I'm okay? Who's going to make sure that I'm taking good care of myself? And a lot of times I find that we fall short.